Mic check, check 1, 2.
Hello and welcome to TOOTRiSTalks. I'm your host, Jeff McAdam. Come on in, grab a seat, make yourself comfortable. We have a really interesting topic of conversation to get here to today. We're talking about the holiday stretch, about 45 days. Goes from the week before Thanksgiving till the end of the new year. Kids home from school for large chunks of time. It can bring a lot of excitement. The magic of the holidays is there for sure. And maybe a little bit of stress and chaos for parents as well. Combination of probably all the above, really. So how do parents get through all that, right? And how do we best equip our kids so that they're successful too? So that we're all not just, surviving this holiday stretch, but hopefully thriving. And we're bringing in an expert. We're bringing in a big shot to talk about it and offer some tips today. She's been in the industry for more than 20 years, has over 150,000 Instagram followers, and we'll get to her in just a moment. But first things first, just a little bit of housekeeping to get to. If this is the first time you joined us here on TOOTRiSTalks, thank you so much for being here. We see you joining us live. Feel free to drop in the comments and the questions. We'll get to those as well. We are a webinar podcast series, a monthly topic of discussion. So just is a wide range of discussion. It could be seasonal topics like we're discussing today, or it might be something that is tied to current events, things that are happening in the news right now. We bring in the experts, offering advice, tips, how you guys can adapt to the things that are really happening in the world so you can be successful there in your home as well. That's TOOTRiSTalks. That's what we're bringing to you. And I'm the guy behind the microphone because I was in the journalism industry for more than 15 years, two-time Emmy Award-winning journalist. But maybe more appropriately, I'm a father of a 5-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter. So when we're talking about childcare, we're talking about parenting stuff. I'm not just talking, I'm living it firsthand, and I'm seeking out experts that I think can really be helpful, a little bit selfishly for me and my family, but I think that translates to a lot of families out there as well. So that's what this is all about. Thank you again for being here. Please do throw in some questions, and we'll get to those as the conversation continues. But if you're ready, let's get set. Let's rock.
Come on in, let's rock. It's time for TOOTRiSTalks. It's time for TOOTRiSTalks.
Our guest today is a two-time author. She's been working with children and their families to embed positive behavioral strategies in their household. She's a behavioral analyst, a parenting psychologist. If you think you recognize her face, she looks a little familiar, it's probably because you've seen her on your TV screen or your phone screen or your laptop screen or your TV screen at some point over the last 12 months. She's been on Good Morning America, NBC, Fox, CBS, you name it.
Here to explain more about what that means is Dr. Reena Patel.
Dr. Reena B. Patel.
Dr. Reena Patel.
Dr. Reena Patel.
We have Dr. Reena B. Patel here to break it all down for us.
Please join me in welcoming Reena B. Patel. Hi, Reena.
Hi, that's a great intro. Thank you. I should take you on the road.
Yeah, I saw you on TV 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was like, she is just fantastic. It's one thing to be somebody who's really knowledgeable in the field, and it's another thing to speak in a way that is easily digestible and relatable and engaging, which you do a really good job of, and so we're really excited to have you. Yeah.
Absolutely. We have limited time, and for the past few decades, I want to say, I've just noticed in general, everyone's attention span. I mean, we talk about kids, but even adults, due to gadgets, especially smartphones, are limited. And so if we want to share information, we have to do it quickly and in tidbits. And in order to get anyone's buy-in, we have to give something that is practical and that's useful, right? That can actually work. And that's what I've honed in on.
Well, like I said, you do a really good job, and I would imagine some of that maybe comes from your background, not only just in the psychology field, but as a mom. Tell us a little bit about you as a person and how you got into the field.
Yeah, I was working in this field prior to having children. But I have 3 children. One who is, both my older daughters go to USC. They're in college. One is 21, one is 19. And then I have a son who's 11 years old. I've pretty much hit most stages of development for kids. And so that is relatable. Of course, being a mom, being in the thick of things, feeling everything that all your listeners probably feel at the same time. And I think that makes it real. And I think as parents, it's so hard because we have experienced so many things that they have as well, but we also haven't, right? I came from a era where we didn't have smartphones, we didn't have social media, we didn't have so much news at the forefront, accessibility. I mean, I grew up when we were reading the newspaper. And so just the amount of information coming at our kids has really enhanced their anxiety, just natural anxiety. And so it isn't difficult to understand or know that the prevalence of mental health challenges is on the rise. And as a psychologist, I'm a child and adolescent psychologist, and also what you had said, parenting psychologist. That is really what I work on. I don't work with an individual child alone. I take in the whole family unit, because all of us need that extra support. We shouldn't be ashamed of needing to work on our mental wellness, because we're comfortable going to a doctor. We should be just as comfortable seeing a psychologist.
I'll dive a little bit into the holiday questions, just because I know, this next 30-day stretch will be an interesting stretch personally for us at this house, because we did the mall Santa this last weekend. We're going to holiday parties, and it sometimes I forget as a dad. I just think our kids will just roll with the punches. We're going to this place and we're going to that place, and that's just the way it is. And then you have the meltdowns. You have these moments, and you realize, am I doing enough to consider my kids? If we can, I'll take the first question here. When holiday plans get busy, what are early signs that a child is getting overwhelmed, and what can parents do before things get worse? What do you think, Reena?
Well, if we see anything different from our kiddo, if we see a meltdown, a tantrum, a vocal outburst, or even just, I don't want to go, that is your child's nervous system is pretty much telling you, hey, it's reaching my limit. This is too much. I'm overloaded, especially when you're at the mall and you're seeing that tantrum behavior. So that is a signal for parents that we need to slow down the pace. It's too much. And what happens, unfortunately, at that time is we didn't sense the signs. We didn't read those cues or those signs getting up to that. And so we're already at that meltdown point, and trying to rationalize with your child then isn't going to unfortunately work. And so the best thing to do in a situation like that is have a family prompt or a family sign or a family cue that, hey, I hear you. We're on overload, whether it's tapping on your ear or we're going to take a break. And one of the things I want parents to really remember to do is use the word let's, because that right away gets our family on the same page and shows our children that they're not the problem. It's not a you thing, it's a we thing. And then to acknowledge that. And so, of course, none of us want to be in a situation where it's overstimulating and lots of things are happening. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't like going to the mall and trying to look for gifts and presents and do all the must-dos too. I'd rather be at home. So I think parents really need to remember that. And so anticipate some of those things, bring some treats, some snacks. Oftentimes we're trying to put so many things in before their meal times. We also have to remember consistency is important. So kids go to school. They're used to having a schedule. They're also used to having a set routine at home. And so when we pull them out of that situation around the holidays, we're messing up that natural routine. And of course, we want our kids to be flexible, but we need to build in some of those anchors. And so account for having those breaks. Account if your child does take a nap, make sure you're home 30 minutes to an hour before that. Don't try to push through that. The other thing is be realistic on how long your child can actually attend to things. If you've got a 5 or 6 year old, don't expect to stay a full day. Don't expect to even do a 6-7 hour, a half day. To be realistic and say, okay, I can maybe do a 2-hour event, a 2-hour thing, but then we really need to come home and reset.
That's great advice too. And I wonder, sometimes it is a fine line to be walking between pre-meltdown mode and just full meltdown mode too. So it's also, I would imagine, recognizing the signs that you're on the verge of that, which I'm still trying to master as a dad myself. So I want to move on to question 2 really quick here, Reena. We'll bring it to you here on the screen. A lot of parents feel pressure to make the holidays perfect. What are some ways they can stay calm and steady so that they can stay connected with their kids?
I love that. I think the whole word perfect, right? I think as parents, we need to show them that mistakes are okay. And I think it's important for parents to remember that mistakes are okay. So the first thing I when I do a lot of parent empowering sessions. I don't like to call them parent training. We're not training parents. The parents are there. You guys are perfect the way you are. My goal is really just to be that support system for you and give you information that you can use and that's practical. And so rather than creating these rigid schedules and these expectations, let's build in mistakes in our daily life and not just around the holidays. So intentionally, create a spill. Intentionally, don't make a perfect meal, because our kids have to know that they don't have to be perfect to please you, and will have mistakes, and let's work on how are we going to get through it versus why it didn't happen a certain way. So one day you want ideal world is their kids are making their beds, they're downstairs with their dressed a certain way, they've had their breakfast, they've done their homework, and they're out the door. But the reality is that doesn't happen. And so we need to, create opportunities for them to not only make mistakes and talk about what to do after and show it and model them, but also find opportunities to create success, even the smallest ones. And that is sometimes really hard, and it does take planning and a lot of, I call it parent sabotage. We intentionally sabotage the situation, but we want to give them plenty of opportunities to do right and do well. And so we want to kind of it's a lot of theatrical work, I should say.
It's funny. You said it, maybe intentionally make the dinner not so great. And if you ask my wife, I must be practicing that on a weekly basis. But no, that is, that's great. Because the last thing you want to do is see how your kids react when the time is really happening, when it's really things are hitting the fan. To be in that moment and to have not faced it, it's a tough situation.
Think about schoolwork and think about the fear of not getting the A, right? I think kids are harder on themselves. What if we're doing our work and oftentimes we're at home on our laptop or maybe doing some work right next to them or doing bills. And what if we intentionally made a calculation? Oh my goodness, I didn't add this up right. Something as simple as that shows them, but that's okay. I checked and I caught it. Little things like that. Really, they pick up on. They know, oh, okay, so if I didn't do well on my math test, it's going to be okay because mom or dad made a mess up. They did it too. No one is perfect. And I think we have to remember that. And so going back to making the holidays perfect, there's no such thing. And so it's okay if we're not wearing the right outfit. And if your child comes down wearing mismatched top and leggings or top and it's okay, because at least we're at the end of the day, they're learning and they're developing creativity and they're developing independence. The best thing is for them to dress themselves versus us having to put everything out for them.
Okay, let's move on to question number 3. How can families keep basic routines like sleep, transitions, and screen time on track without being too strict, especially when traveling or having visitors? And this is a good question for us because I wonder whether the kids being out of school, this is a time to relax some of the guidelines that we've had, or maybe even time to reinforce them even more.
Yeah, I talked about anchors. I think as parents, we need to think about what are some things that you want to keep as a routine and what are the things that you're going to be loose on. And the answer right away because that buildup when it comes back to getting back on the right schedule before school starts again and all the family's gone and all the fun, the excitement becomes our regular routine. What are the harder things to get back on track with, right? Oftentimes it is sleep schedule. It is their morning routine or nighttime routine or oh my goodness, I actually have to do some work routine. And that comes back into play. And so think about those things and build in your holiday schedule within that. So yes, they're not going to have to do schoolwork, but maybe we do build in some time where they actually have to do some structured play or structured help, where they're helping you in the kitchen, or maybe they're making a meal with you, but do it around the times that they would have to do some of those things within a school, right? They are going to have to follow a command or a demand or an expectation. And I think that's important to remember. I still do, my son has an alarm clock, and I still keep it for the holidays. And I think it's important. Maybe I adjust the time a little bit. They don't have to, my son, he takes the bus, so he has to wake up super early as a sixth grader at 6 a.m. And that's hard. But maybe it's more of a 7:30 a.m. alarm, but it is an alarm. It is something he still has to get up on his own, and he still has to brush his teeth and get ready and come downstairs. And so I think it's important to remember those routines, keep those nighttime routines. I know it's fun. It's family's over. You want to stay up late. You want to go see the lights, but be realistic. They do need their sleep, and we cannot put so much on their plate. And the one thing I always tell parents for the holidays in general, anyways, if you're going to put something on your plate, take something off. And it's okay to say no. It's okay to tell friends and families that, oh, you know what, we're not gonna be able to make that dinner, or we're not gonna be able to make it to that party because we have so much going on right now, but let's take a rain check. So it is hard to turn a fun activity or fun event down, but we have to make sure that we're finding that right balance.
I love it. Perfect. Thank you, Reena. And let's move on. I'll move on to question 4 here and put it on the screen. Big gifts, lots of excitement can lead to meltdowns. So how can parents prepare kids, set limits, and help them stay regulated during those high energy moments?
Yeah, I would prepare kids by setting clear expectations about how gifts will be opened. What is the pace of the day going to look like? Let's talk about it. Build in those sensorial breaks. A lot of us need that. Alternate high energy with some time for calming activities. Think about, are we going to have, how many visitors are we going to have throughout the day? What are the things that we are going to go do? It's a lot of excitement all at once, and your body naturally needs some time to calm and reset. I love to front load children with also real expectations. Sometimes they can find themselves in disappointing situations if Santa didn't get them exactly what they wanted. And it's a great time to talk about days leading up to that. What's a privilege and what's a necessity? And make it a visual learning opportunity. You don't also have to have a verbal conversation. You could put it down on paper, take some poster paper, put it out on the ground, and draw a big line, and make it a family event, activity at home, and write the word privilege and necessity, or what do you need and what can you be without, and change it and make it developmentally appropriate. But have those conversations, and it'll be surprising. Actually, it shouldn't be surprising when your young child is putting the tablet on the necessity child side. You're like, no, you don't need that iPad. You can live without it. But then that creates dialogue. Yeah, it creates dialogue. I think it's really important.
I love that you use the word front loading, because it's a word that my wife and I use a lot. We've talked to child psychologists too, to try to just understand how we can be better as parents. And I think we've seen success, especially with our 5-year-old son, in letting him know, hey, we have, here's the expectations. Here's what we're going to do. We're about to have these people come over to the house. And let's talk about who they are. We'll remind you who these people are, but also you have 10 more minutes to watch this show. And then maybe I'll come back. You have 5 more minutes. That way it's not a sudden turn off the TV. We're going out the door, because I don't get a positive reaction when I go that route. So I think the more I can front load, tell them what to expect. Here's what's coming down the pike. We get better results. Not always, but certainly a better chance that way.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, what's the definition of anxiety? It's the anticipation of the unknown. That's what anxiety is. And so we, in general, are naturally creating habits, just what you told me you and your wife do, on helping prevent an anxiety episode. And so that's what you want to do, is the more you can prepare and transition your children, the better off they will be in terms of feeling nervous or stressed.
Great point. All right, let's shift gears just a little, and with the relatives around, talking about the people coming over to the house.
Oh, yes.
Parents may deal with criticism. We went through this last week. How can they set boundaries while still protecting their own mental health and their child's well-being? I'll weigh in maybe in a minute. I'll let you start.
Well, I want to hear what you have. Let's hear what you have to say.
Well, it's, my mother-in-law is fantastic. My mom, mother-in-law to my wife, she is a really big helper, and she comes over all the time. And she usually does a very good job of knowing when the right time is to offer advice. But it can be tough to listen to certain advice and input and one to be respectful of that while also acknowledging the impact that might have on your spouse. And it is a lot to juggle. It is a lot to juggle.
Yes.
The different input and advice coming from different people, especially people who aren't around 90% of the time or 95% of the time. So they don't know everything they think they know. Right. I feel very defensive right now.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way, especially for our new moms and dads out there, because you are a new parent, and it potentially, maybe it's the first holiday or it's the first of many celebrations, and it's hard. It's hard because you are getting a lot of advice, and you should. Judgment is one of those things I wish everyone would leave in the back seat, because you don't know everyone's situation. And if I have grandparents listening, or if we've got aunts and uncles or friends listening, the best thing we can do is just, how can I help you? Is really, what can I do to support you? What can I do to help with? And wait for the families and the parents to say, could you go maybe downstairs? I'm going to put Johnny to bed on my own, or I'm going to step aside with my husband and I are going to step aside, and we're going to chat with, or Jeff and I are going to step aside, and we're going to chat with our daughter about reminding them about some of the rules, our house rules, or anything like that. Because the last thing we want is an audience, because kids love audience. Because that's when they know they're going to have to, the parents were going to give in and let me have that extra cookie, or I'm going to get out of having to finish my dinner. And so that's really important. And on the other end is just telling your mom or mother-in-law or father-in-law, or whoever it is like, I love that, but for right now, we have something already set up in place. We're going to try that first, or any of those things, because there's a lot of sensitivity around the holidays and a lot of hurt feelings that happen. I was just thinking about Thanksgiving, and it just happened, and sometimes it's like, oh, you didn't include me in the photo, or oh, you didn't do with this, or what about the grandparents taking pictures with their kids? and you didn't pick us first, and all of those things start to happen up. And sometimes it's like, okay, let's discuss this. Maybe we're going to shoot out an email or a text. What's the day going to look like? And I know it sounds silly, as if we're putting together a big wedding, but sometimes it is we're going to have an opportunity for pictures with all the grandkids, and this is how we have it all lined up. But do it beforehand, so even adults know what to expect, so no one's feelings are hurt. I think that's really important. I think the more you give ahead of time, it causes less, it's more ease at the dinner table.
That's good advice. Thank you, Rita.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 6. Holidays are a good time to talk about gratitude and giving. What are some simple everyday ways parents can teach kindness without overwhelming their kids?
Oh, it's, our kids they're blank slates, right? When they're born, when they're younger, it's up to us really as parents and caretakers and guardians to set up that example for them. And I really love when families embed some type of community outreach during the holidays. You just to see, I mean, when you watch kids helping kids, it's a win-win, right? They love it. I think reminding them that homemade gifts are just as important, especially telling your children that, please, I tell my adult kids, just you being home is wonderful enough. Don't feel the need to have to buy something, especially during hard economic times. And where we are right now with all the tariffs and just all of that. And I think finding the items that they want. And so I think it's really important to build in throughout the year opportunities to give and having those discussions, finding times where you have your family team meetings and sessions and hangouts where you have those conversations. And I think important for parents to first ask kids what they think. Oftentimes we assume we know what to do, or we assume we know what they're thinking, and sometimes we overshare. And I'll give you an example of just the concept of what is homelessness. And, it'd be interesting to, ask your 5-year-old, what does it mean when someone is homeless? Have you ever seen someone who's homeless? And having those conversations I know it's scary topics, but it's important topics, and it's important. And maybe should we look through our closet? And if we have clothes that don't fit us anymore, should we go over to a thrift store or go over to a place where we can donate? What does the word donate mean? And just having those conversations, and building it into your holiday week routine does a lot. There's so much research around the time. And I because I'm a mental health specialist, I really don't want to forget to talk about the feeling of hopelessness or helplessness during the holidays, or feeling without family, or the loss of family. If you've lost a parent, a child, a loved one, holidays are hard times. And grief is really an ongoing feeling that we all feel or have touched in some way upon. And I think it's important to remind and be empathetic and teach our children about, validating a loss of a puppy, or a loss of a grandparent, or a loss of a loved one. Maybe it's a friend who moved away to another school. I wonder what they're doing. And using that time to remember them during the holidays, and maybe, planting a flower for them, or going to a spiritual or a church or something, and remembering those loved ones is really important as well. And I think to incorporate that is a gift in itself.
Yeah, that's really interesting. We've had similar conversations here at the house. Having lost a couple of pets in the last few months, tough to know how much is too much to dwell on it. And so interesting to hear you talk about it. And you had brought up with our 5-year-old, our son Landon, we talked about this last night when it came to homelessness. 2 years ago, we were down in San Diego, and my wife said that she had passed a homeless person on the street, and my son had asked, like, why is he there? And she told him a little bit about it. And fast forward to this week, it's probably been a week and a half since I showed him a social media video of, it's one of these influencers who goes out and tries to, better the lives of people through their followers. We got a $1 donation from 100,000 people, and here's $100,000, and your life is changing forever. And so I think maybe it was a combination of what he had seen 2 years ago, and just having seen that social media video. But my wife said that she was talking to my son about Santa Claus, like, what do you want Santa to bring you? And he said, well, I want to focus on what I want to give to somebody. And he ran back to his room, pulled out his little piggy bank, and it had dumped out his coins and his dollar bills. And he said, I want to give this to somebody who's homeless, who's living on the street. And it was an interest. And he had talked. That's when he brought up the 2 years ago thing. Mm-hmm. And it is interesting what resonates and sticks in their minds. But it was cool to see as a dad.
I love that. And one of the things that we can do as a family is, versus writing and giving something that children they're not as concrete in terms of monetary contributions and donations, is actually the act of doing. is what really helps children understand empathy and kindness and compassion. Compassion is the actually action of doing, and that not only helps the children or the homeless person or the individual or the organization, but see how it's helping your son is actually teaching kindness, just by exposure. And I think that's wonderful. It's just having conversations about it.
Thank you, Reena. And I do want to take just a moment too to bring in a couple of questions that we had got from our audience. And the first one was, when do you, let's see, I want to make sure I get it right. What do you do when you and your partner aren't on the same page with holiday rules or boundaries? So I know we talked about parents maybe or other relatives getting in the mix and different opinions, but what do you do when it's your own spouse? It's a good question.
Yeah, and it isn't just around the holidays. Both of you are advocates for your children. And so really having those conversations and saying, okay, what is it that our child needs first versus what do I want for my child? Oftentimes, we're living vicariously through our children in terms of all the activities and sports and stuff, but what is it really that your child wants? And also providing choices for your children. Don't forget, even at a young age, maybe mom and dad want to do this and this, but what about including your child in that conversation and saying, hey, do you want to do this first? Or would you like to go see a movie, or would you like to go see the lights? And really allowing your child to be part of that conversation, because they're more likely going to go to the mall and do the things that you want them or need them to do for that day if they have a choice. Don't forget the importance of choices.
And one more too, this one, what's the best way to reset after a really hard holiday moment without dwelling on it? So I guess the meltdown has happened. How do you recover? How do you reset in that moment?
Oh, it's just so hard. I think compassionate parenting is so important, and there's so many terms out there, but I think it's really important when your child is struggling to really, make sure, I think with tantrums, and because I'm a behaviorist by training as well, is I always say, look around, is that there's something there that they're going to get hurt with or try to throw your way, just to remove and look at the environment first and create that safe space. And secondly, the less language we use in a moment when they're having a difficult situation or difficult behavior is really important too. Is knowing that, validating, it's hard. That must be hard. I'm with you. And one of the things I tell parents to use the words I hear, I see, I feel are basic senses, but just start their conversation with I see, I feel, or I hear you, because kids need that even at a young age. And even as adults, we need that type of validation that we're having a hard time. And wait for the episode, wait for it to calm waters before we go in and try to re-engage. And then we reset. And then we kind of say, okay, in my head, we know as parents, we had X, Y, and Z to do, but we're going to shift this and we're going to adjust. And it's a perfect time to allow your child to have a choice in that dialogue, because it helps them know. And also, not only will your child need maybe a nap or a snack, maybe you do too. And let's take a break. Let's take a minute. And you let me know when you're ready to go back. And it's never, it shouldn't be something where, okay, you won, we're done. Okay, we're going to go home. But maybe it's just an alternative adjustment of the day versus, maybe we go do this first before we go do this.
Yeah. And I'd gone onto your Instagram, clicked on your bio, and you just have a number of really, really helpful resources
Articles.
that you list.
There's
Yeah.
lots of articles, and there's no one single parenting issue that happens to just one family. So if you're thinking about something, just know that there are other families. We're all dealing with and working through the same things. So definitely have a lot of articles and commentary and content up about that.
Well, we'll make sure to put your information on our page. So if our viewers want to reach out to you, they can do that. Thank you for joining us. This was really nice. And hopefully we'll have you back. I see you're an expert on so many different things. So hopefully this is just one of many sessions over the next year or two. But thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Jeff.